When you're running a school, it's a hands-on operation. You can't be a part-time, because you appoint a principal, you appoint an academic director, you get the right teachers. So in terms of running a school, what has been the experience in India?
That brought me into the education is because I know how I struggled when I went to US, and I know how even the students, the kids here who travel to the countries, like America, Canada, or UK, how they struggle initially.
In India, it's a different ballgame altogether. The expectations of the parents are very high, sky high. They believe that if I pay so much, my child has to be perfect. It doesn't work that way.
7 years now, I think, 6.5 years I'm into this new life. In the schooling, what I have noticed in India especially, here we spend more on educating parents than the children. Let me put it that way. Each child is different, each parent is different.
Welcome to Conversations. I'm Suresh Kochat. Here is someone who I have with me today who worked for you in the US for a company like IBM, studied there before that, and then gave it all up to come back to India. Raghavendra Reddy Macha, the chairman of DPS Gatkesar and managing director of Meridian School in Uppal, an educationist who now believes that there's a lot that can be done for the society if one gets the education part of it correct. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much, Suresh. Thank you.
So the idea was that when I did your introduction, a very brief one, but I want you to expand on that. In terms of where you hail from, your education, and then your early part of your career.
Well, I was born in Kurnool and brought up here in Hyderabad, pretty much all education. And then right after my schooling, I went to US and actually Canada. And I did my undergrad from University of New Brunswick. That's my undergrad.
Okay.
And then while I was doing undergrad, IBM hired me.
Oh.
Then I did my executive MBA from Georgia State University, while I was working for IBM as well. So all my career was with IBM, for 20 years straight.
Wow, that's 2 decades.
Yeah.
That's
2 decades, yes.
That is absolute loyalty.
Correct.
Now, in terms of, when you did your education in Canada and the US and all that, a lot of students who go from India often have this aim just to get there. Maybe they'll not even work for a company like IBM, which is a big name. And those days, it would have been even tougher to get into IBM. It's a behemoth at that point in time. But once you got into IBM and you suddenly started working for them, what was the working culture there like, and what was it all about working in IBM?
Well, it's not just IBM. For any company, it's the same, same way it works. So what I believed myself, that typically, maybe, this helps for the newer, younger generations. That's
exactly
as well,
the point.
The aspirants, right? I looked at it in a different way than versus all my other Indian friends and colleagues were looking at as the settling in America. So my point was, one day when I was reading Eenadu newspaper, I came across a small article. In the article, they clearly said that typically Indians, once we get a job, once we move to America or get a job, and we pretty much relax. Okay, now we have achieved. We don't have to do anything. Just go to work and 9 to 5, work there, be there, and come home and chill.
Yes.
And I didn't do that. So the article was saying that every day, in fact, when you are at school, you try to score good marks and get a good job, but after getting into the job, and that is where you have to work, even put double efforts to grow, because that is where you started making money. You started seeing the fruits, getting the fruits, and you have to work much harder. So I've just to start with the career for the newer generations, probably
you should, sir.
Right? So good point, a good question you asked. I'm glad you asked this question just to start with our interview. So I was preparing my resume. And I used to get resumes from my seniors, who were working there, and read through all those resumes. In the resumes, you may have seen as well and everywhere, you typically see, my career objective, my educational qualifications, and the experience. And the experience they write,
Paragraphs.
huge paragraphs. And I did not want to have my resume exactly the same, like how, I collected 10, 20 resumes, and every resume was pretty much looking identical. Then I realized, okay, maybe I have to make my resume to look different. So that means I have to build a profile. Then I started publishing articles and doing different things, adding different content to my resume. I started publishing articles. First article, it took 6 months for me to publish one on Advisor magazines. And post publishing my first article, and I know how to get my article get picked up to publish in the magazines, and I got some tricks. And then I started publishing. I ended up publishing about 56 articles in all the magazines, and I was the highest publisher in entire IBM history at one point. And then I also started speaking in the conferences, in IBM internal technical conferences. So that was one new piece, I wanted to add. I added a new colors to my resume, and then getting certifications, more certifications. See, you have to work on building a profile, not just writing 2 paragraphs of experience. So even if it is a one pager, it has to have different colors. The interviewer, whoever the employer, when he picks up resume, he has
when he
to
looks
see
at it.
Yeah. So that how I built, and I was so confident within like 2-3 years, and I locked myself 3 years when I first joined IBM, because I was scared of losing jobs. In America, the average layoff period is 2.5 years. So I was scared of losing that job from IBM, because then IBM was a biggest company. Not Apple and IBM and Microsoft. Those two were only the biggest companies 20 years back, and now there are many other companies popped up. IBM, so Google, Apple, so many
Facebook,
companies, Facebook, and all, they all came up. But then it was only the IBM. So I did not want to lose that job and go work for some company that is not that popular. So I was scared. So I myself locked for 3 years. Every day I started learning something new. At the end, after 2-3 years, as you add more skills and more certifications, building more profile, you become more confident.
True.
You become more confident. Now I'm more confident. I can go find a job here, in any company, an IT company here, who can pay, 1 crore rupees for me.
I think that's an important point what you made, because today's youngsters, the 2 points you made, one was your writing skills and second was your speaking skills. And for a person like me, who for the last 19 years been teaching MBA students as a guest lecturer, I often find that today's students are not confident to speak in public.
Correct.
They cannot speak in public.
Absolutely.
I addressed about 4 colleges in the last 2 weeks, and everywhere I'm seeing the same story.
Correct.
Second is the writing skills, because that is also gone today. Because people are on ChatGPT, they can do what they want, get everything, but you can easily make out that this was written in ChatGPT. Now, when I speak about all this, when you're addressing all this, and we are talking of 20 years ago.
Correct.
Okay, when IT industry was not really the flavor of the season.
Correct.
IBM was the behemoth, as I said, mainframes champion. The first of the computer, the personal computers also rolled out from there. But the point was trying to make was, you mentioned a very important point, the scare of losing a job.
Correct.
Today, for any youngster who's watching this interview, for a person who worked there at that point in time, losing a job is something very, very, heartbreaking for an Indian.
Absolutely.
They're not used to it.
Yeah.
For an American, it might be very commonplace to do it. What would you advise for somebody who sees a threat, losing a job, and having lost a job, what should they do?
Well, the point here is if you lose a job, maybe you can find a job elsewhere. My point was, the point that I was so much scared of was, I was so much fascinated to work for a bigger company, because my aims were high, my dreams were too high. I wanted to be with some reputed organization. So in the community, when you go into, and we'll come back, why I started Delhi Public School here, why not some other school?
Yes, sir.
Or some, many people have the many different names, different brands. They build their own,
True.
they started the schools on their own names. But I'm a firm believer of, the branding. So you should always be backed by a brand. You will be recognized in the society by a brand. People used to call me IBM Raghu. Now people call me DPS Raghu. That's how they recognize me today. So I was more scared of losing job, not finding some other job. You can find a job. The kids these days. And one more thing, why do you have to keep switching jobs?
Loyalties.
The loyalty makes difference and pays off at the end.
Even on your resume, it shows up very well.
Correct. So when I was with IBM, I joined as a junior programmer. It's a redneck organization, white dominating organization. I was in the corporation, IBM corporation, not the consulting firm. And it's a huge competition just because of the loyalty and my dedication to the organization. In a short period of time, I grew up to the executive level. When I quit IBM, I was a director for artificial intelligence Watson services. And Watson was the first AI machine that we, in fact, we did a Jeopardy in 2011. It is there on YouTube. I was one of the architects, the key architects, behind that Watson machine.
Mr. Raghu, this point about coming back to India, usually when a person goes to US and more from Telugu speaking states, typically if you go to Telugu wedding, they'll ask you, "Me koduku ekkada unnandi, me koothru ekkada unnandi," US.
America
then it is kind of, "Oh, if in Bangalore, no. They have to be in US." But you came back. Correct. Something that I don't know whether your parents would have been shocked at that decision or your family would have been shocked at that decision. Was it a deliberate move? Was there something that brought you back to India? What was that moment?
Good point, Suresh. So it's not an easy decision, definitely. When you settle there comfortably, when you have a comfortable life, because when we go there as a student, we struggle so much to get a H1 visa, and then obviously, green card becomes a dream again, and then after green card, citizenship becomes a dream again. So for me, after achieving all those steps and growing in career till the comfortable space, I was a director, as I said, when I left, that was my last job in IBM. So when I was that comfortable, it was not an easy decision to quit a comfort zone and going to explore something unknown and switching a career.
The leap of faith, as they call it.
Exactly. So I built 20 plus years, and I worked for that career. It was pretty much like, I knew everything, I know what to do, what I was doing. But switching that career and moving back to India was a tough decision, definitely. There is not a single friend or a single family member who supported my decision. Every friend used to call me, what is this nonsense?
That's exactly why I asked you that question.
Exactly. Every friend discouraged me. But when you are confident, what you are going to do, and when you are too clear about your dreams, you don't have to, listen to the advices that come from surroundings.
What was the dream you had?
Well, I divided my life into 3 parts. Let me put that way.
Okay.
Say example, 60 years, pretty much we call it a retirement age. So first 20 odd years I spent for education, getting the certificates, the entry passes.
Yes, sir.
And the second part of 20 plus years, I work for making money, obviously, because we need money for survival. And even the gaining knowledge, gaining that experience. And my father used to tell me always, if you want to become a successful employer, you have to be an employee for some time. So I was employee for 20 years. So that process, the second part of my life, taught me so much and made me well versed to get into the second leap, the third leap. So third phase, I decided to work for myself.
Okay.
I want to be, the part of the India. India is a developing country, and I wanted to be part of that transformation. I did not want to live in a comfort place, which America was a developed country, and everything was cooked there. The food was ready, right on the table. And here I wanted to be the part of the transformation. So I chose, okay, let's move back to India and start career there. What worst case, what happens? Worst case scenario, I may just end up being with my family. Right. So I started pursuing, that's where
There's
I started.
some story of yours that I read somewhere, and some people talking to me about some change of movement that happened at a golf course.
Yes.
What was that, sir?
I was, there's a place called Augusta in Georgia State in America. That is where the Masters take place, the golf Masters.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if you're familiar, we call it in cricket,
Yeah.
the World Cup, right?
Correct.
Cricket in the World Cup, the final match.
True.
And for golf, it's the final match is called the Masters.
Okay.
That takes place in Augusta.
The green coat or something. I keep reading about all that.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. So I was luckily the Masters in the golf course. There are only two cabins, one IBM cabin and one is Mercedes-Benz.
Okay.
These two people have the massive cabins, they host their customers there. So I was the client executive for a big retail store called Home Depot in America.
Yeah.
You must have heard the name.
They have everything from nails to forklifts.
Correct. So I was a client executive for Home Depot. I was hosting a Home Depot client there. And an entire IBM cabin, myself and there was a gentleman called Sunil Mittal, the CEO of Airtel. Him and I, we both were only the brown-skinned gentlemen, walking around in the cabin there. And IBM CEO was sitting with him. I was noticing, CEO spending time with an Indian guy. Who the hell is he? Who is he? She sat about 30 minutes with him, and I was just observing. And I had my IBM tag, and I was walking around. And IBM CEO, she got up and she was going to attend some other client, it seems. And she saw my badge and she read my name there. She didn't know who I was, and I was just an executive, for one of the clients there. And she read my name. Hey, Raghu, can you spend some time with that gentleman there? I just have to go meet someone, some other client. I said, okay. I went to Sunil Mittal and I asked him, hi, Sunil, this is Raghu. I heard the CEO asked me to spend some time with you. And he was such a gentleman, down-to-earth man. He could buy IBM. His net worth is like, huge. He asked me, hi, Raghu. And I asked him, what do you do, Sunil? He said,
that would have been a very odd question for him.
I asked him, I thought, he was one of those like me, working for IBM or some client, representing some client. And I asked him, what do you do, Sunil? He responded me saying that, I work for Airtel, Raghu. He did say I'm a CEO of IBM. That's something I learned from him. Now, if people ask me, what do you do? I work for Delhi Public School. I'm not the chairman of Delhi Public School or Meridian School.
Titles don't matter.
Titles don't matter. So he said, I work for Airtel, Raghu. Okay. And then I asked him specifically, what do you do for Airtel? He said, okay, I'm the founder of Airtel. I'm the CEO of Airtel. Then it clicked in my mind, okay, are you the Sunil Mittal? He said, yeah, I'm the Sunil Mittal. So
the process of discovery.
Yeah. So that was a quite shocking, enlightening, in fact, that's where, in fact, you never know who inspires, people say that, right?
That's true.
So we sat and he asked me, how long you been in America? I said 14 years. He said, why, you've been here for a long time, Raghu, you should switch back to India. I said, oh no, Sunil, I don't want to come back to India. A lot of, typical NRIs, how they talk negatives about India.
Cows on the road,
Ah,
everything.
Cows on the road, pollution, politics,
Traffic.
all traffic and all that. So he said, no. That is where, you have to switch back your country. That's a country which is growing. You should be part of that journey. You miss that journey if you stay back here for another few more years. Then it's just actually, I felt, yeah, that completely makes sense actually. Then I asked him, then what, Sunil, working in India is something that I don't want to do. I'm happy here. He said, no, you shouldn't be working for someone in India if you're switching back to India. You should be working for yourself.
As an entrepreneur.
As an entrepreneur. I said, I have no clue. Maybe I can just go start a restaurant there, or something, with the capital that I have. He said, no, Raghu, don't think that low. Think big. You have got a lot of experience. You learned a lot of here in the journey, in your career here. He said, start something. What is that ISB?
Okay. Indian School of
Think
Business.
of doing something ISB.
He's on the board there.
I said, it's a massive initiative, Sunil. I don't think I can even dream of doing something like that. No. Have a thought and, believe in your thought and work on it. Things falls in line. You have to believe in your dreams. Then, okay, Sunil, good thought. Maybe, now I start, working on it, right? Then that's where my...
I think there are moments in life this all happens, when accidentally you meet somebody and then, I still remember the famous question that Steve Jobs asked, when he wanted to recruit people, he would ask them the profession they came from. And that obviously is a major thing when you pitch the business to people.
Correct.
The switch back to India, which happened with you, happened, of course, after a few years after you had met Mr. Mittal there. But once you came back to India, I think typically that's a question you asked yourself, what will I do going there? So what was it? What was that moment when you decided to come back? Where did you want to get into as an entrepreneur?
Correct. So I, the Sunil, when he said you should be thinking of something, setting up like an ISB level, then that may not be that level, but my point was always, if I do something, I should be doing something big, definitely, because I am associated with some big company.
Yes, true.
I have some name here. People recognize me as a director of IBM. So I should be doing something of this level or bigger, not anything below that. Not small. Then I kept thinking of, a couple months, and then I was in India. I started pursuing Delhi Public School, maybe, because I see Delhi Public School going around, buses going around, and okay, yeah, maybe something like this. Because DPS is, I read about Delhi Public School on the internet, and it's a reputed organization run by all those eminent people.
I think it's run by the former CAG?
V.K. Shunglu, former CAG, Controller Auditor General of India. And he was the chairman then. And I started pursuing. And it took 3 years for me to get that approved. Okay. I had about 20 plus interviews.
Very tough,
Very tough.
For a guy who worked in IBM.
And without any political background, not much of connections in the country. A guy like me, just with a good education background, professional background, or pursuing something like that. It's not that they don't even, because they build that organization, for decades.
True.
They can just put the brand in some unknown person's name. I was just one normal NRI. But I think that is the reason why they took, 2 plus years to understand how committed I am, how serious I am, doing something, because he himself was not sure if I was going to quit America and switch completely to India. In fact, that is the last question the V.K. Shunglu sir asked me. Are you investing here in a school or completely switching back to India? I said, no, sir. I never travel on two boats, but I switched completely back to India. So I think DPS would be one brand that will add more colors to my profile, and I would probably quit everything, America. I won't even go back there, even for a visit, because I made up my mind. I want to move back to India completely.
So DPS Ghatkesar, for those who are not from Hyderabad, technically it was on the outskirts of Hyderabad, Ghatkesar, but now it's a part of the city. Where on the same road you have the Infosys campus at Pocharam, and beyond it the Singapore city nearby. So when you look at a school is a school. You have so many of them in the city. There are international schools, there are state schools, and of course there are many private schools also. Why is education one factor or one industry that you latched onto? What was any reason for that? You could have started anything, isn't it? Why just education?
Well, the one point that that brought me into the education is because I know how I struggled when I went to US, and I know how even the students, the kids here who travel to the countries, like America, Canada, or UK, how they struggle initially, because our English, the language that we speak here is completely different. The way, the accent, the vocabulary they use, it was tough for me to communicate with even the potential employers there, when we are perceiving jobs. So with that experience, I thought, if I spend my rest of my time in education, I can at least, educate some of the children, who don't have to go through the same struggles that I have gone through to settle in my career.
Okay.
That is the whole point, pretty much. Not, making money. Obviously, I'm not doing a charity. But, the purpose, I only one son. I don't have any dreams of, making, 100 crores or another 1,000 crores and building empires. But my only point was, if I can educate some of the children here, so they don't have to go through the same struggles that I have gone through to settle in their lives, and that itself would become my achievement.
In fact, you also went on to add another school, which is the Meridian School.
Yeah.
Of course, these are all in a franchisee mode that you took up. But when you're running a school, it's a hands-on operation. You can't be a part-time business. Of course, you appoint a principal, you appoint an academic director, you get the right teachers, you get the right staff to run the laboratories. But the end of the day, the buck stops with you.
Correct.
So in terms of running a school, what has been the experience in India? Because you came with this experience that I should teach the kids here, so that when they go there, they easily sink into that mode there. But the point is, in India, it's a different ballgame altogether. The expectations of the parents are very high, sky high. They believe that if I pay so much, end of the day, it's like a Xerox machine. It has to come from the other side, and my child has to be perfect. It doesn't work that way.
Correct.
Each child is different.
Each child is different. Each parent is different.
So in terms of training them, how did you do it? Yeah. That's what.
So the good point, for 7 years now, I think 6.5 years, I'm into this new life. In the schooling, what I have noticed in India especially, here we spend more on educating parents than the children. Let me put that way.
Absolutely true.
Yeah, we spend more time on educating the parents than the children, because we have to set their expectations right. The parents here, they think that, okay, well, I got the admission in a top school, and I'm paying 5 lakhs rupees the fee. We don't charge that much, by the way. Just in general, I'm talking about. So, our job is done. No, I would tell the parents, every time I address the parents, and I tell them, Dear parents, you just because you took the admission in Delhi Public School, because Delhi Public School is a big brand or Meridian School is a big brand, it doesn't mean that your job is over. Because what I look at it is, when I've studied the psychology of the parents and the children, because I want to be in this industry, for the rest of my life, right? So what it says is, when you give a birth for a child, it is a 20 years project that you are signing up. You're signing on. So you may, otherwise, if you don't have that bandwidth, if you can't commit to your time to your children, you don't give a birth to your children. The school, DPS or Meridian or any school on the planet here, that is not going to change, your child's life, upside down just because you took the admission and you're paying the higher fee. So you have to give your commitment to
that is something that even as a parent I have gone through that process. Absolutely. Where unless the parent spends time with the child today, with both husband and wife working professionals,
correct,
send the kid to tuition, be done with it, go for a PTA, that's it. PTM, you attend parent-teacher meeting, that's all done. But I think the end of the day is, Mr. Raghu, you would have noticed that Indian parent expectations are also different.
Correct.
Whatever said and done, they'll say MSET, NEET, JEE, that's it. None of them follow a scientist or a microbiologist or something like that. Careers are different. In terms of dealing with parents, have you gone through this process, sir?
I always, that's one topic that I emphasize, when I speak with the parents here. Don't push your children just to get into IIT or some NIT or BITS, because they're not just the organizations. Because I have not gone to the IIT, but I have done very well in my career.
Yeah, not even everybody is cut out for IIT.
Exactly. The CEO, the president of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, he did not go to IIT. Now he's the president of Microsoft, right? But I tell the parents here, give them time, let them grow on their own. Just make sure that they don't get into the wrong things, because now the drugs and so much is into the market. So keep an eye on them, what they are doing. Let them grow freely. If you really want to love your kid, you have to. If you really want to see your kids grow, you have to let them go. Right? You have to be on their own. They have to see the world with their own eyes. Then only they have to get the fire.
Art of survival.
Exactly. So I tell them, the IIT or NIT or NEET, medicine, they're not the end goals.
True.
They're not the end destination.
There's a world beyond it.
Exactly. So I tell them, in fact, the VK Sunglu sir asked me the same question when we signed the joint venture agreement for DPS. The first question he asked me, so Raghu, now you're coming back from an IT world to education, and from a developed country to underdeveloped, developing country. Now you tell me how different you are going to run your school from other schools here. Well, he just asked me, like, just out of nowhere, just out of the blue, the question came from him. And I didn't know how to answer that. I didn't answer right. He's an IAS officer, he must have seen, he has seen the world, I kind of started explaining, I built so much of into the IT, into the education, and then he didn't like it. He said, that's not right. Just focus on, make sure that the children speak proper English so that they can communicate properly, clearly, because English is, unfortunately, universal language now. And they are good at mathematics. They don't have to learn about social studies, history, what happened 5 centuries ago, 2 centuries ago, what happened before British and after British. They don't have to know till they learn at the end, at one point. But make sure that they communicate clearly. They understand, they speak, read, write, and speak properly. And that is the first primary focus, because you are dealing with the children. You're not going to start an engineering college. If you're going to engineering college, if you're setting up an engineering college or a medical college, you can talk about, you're bringing all the cutting edge technology into educating them, training them. but you are starting a school, make sure that they read, write, and speak proper language, any language, English and local languages as well. But they have to have a good control on the languages.
True.
So, and mathematics, obviously, because that helps you to improve your logical thinking.
So, the question that would obviously arise as we close this conversation is, in terms of education as a field, as you rightly said, setting the expectations of parents, getting the children to buy into those expectations. But when you look at the road ahead, the kind of competition that we are seeing in the school itself, within the school, within a classroom and outside, one of the things I often feel is that the children are put in a cocoon, they are protected a lot. And when they go to an IIT or when they get to an IIM or any institute for that matter, the kind of competition they face is like something like what happened to, you just pushed into a deep well and you don't know how to swim.
Mm-hmm.
So the art of survival, as I mentioned before, is an important part. And I keep speaking at a lot of colleges on the same subject. Is that 99.9 is not a great mark to achieve. Even if you get 70s and 80s, you're good enough. But you should know how to survive, as you said, right? How to communicate, because all your life you're communicating with clients, with bankers, with your wife, your family, everybody. And if you can't get that right, and this is something that I've been breaking my head on for the last possibly 20, 25 years, trying to tell parents.
Correct.
Because look, okay, IIT, NEET is all fine, but here is something more important. And typically engineering colleges at the last stage, third year or something, they get some communication guy who will come and say, I'm going to teach everybody communication. It doesn't work that way.
Correct.
So in terms of the way you went to US, the way you worked, you just logged it out, came back, definitely communication plays an important part. And when you run a school like this, 2 schools now, in terms of telling your teachers and telling your principal and other academic people, what is it that you want to tell them to mold a child from here to here?
Well, the Delhi Public School has a different philosophy.
Yes, sir.
They believe in a holistic education. So the children has to grow physically as well as mentally. And that is why they don't give away the franchisee rights if they don't have enough land for for grounds, there's a sports facilities.
That's again something very important, because in most of the schools,
they don't
I don't want to name them.
Yeah, I know.
But they are basically putting children in jails.
Correct.
Letting them out, play games. Who knows, tomorrow it might turn out to be a champion. Carry on, sir.
Correct. So the holistic growth is the philosophy of Delhi Public Schools. They make sure that the schools have a proper sports infrastructure for the children. So they believe in, the children has to grow physically as well as mentally. If you're not physically strong, you can't become a mentally strong. So you have this famous quote which you often use, isn't it? I tell that.
Yeah.
The active mind cannot reside in an inactive body.
True.
So that's a quote that I always take when I address children and my staff in the schools. I myself as a marathon runner,
you run a lot. Yeah.
I run a lot. So I ran quite a few marathons across the country. You got to be physically fit to have that active mind. And another point you said, the children these days, they grow in a shell, but they're not getting enough exposure. They put them in the 4 walls and train them for the IIT, or they get into the IIT and they go into the IIT, they study and they come out, but they don't know how to deal things outside. I was one of the typical examples for that. I have to tell you this funny story I always tell to the people. I had a choice of doing MBA from Harvard University, another MBA for me to get to the next level in my career at IBM, or switching back to India. So I had, if I get Delhi Public School approval, then I switch back to India. If I don't, I'll go to Harvard University, do my MBA, executive MBA, and then shoot for my next promotion, vice president in IBM. So I'm so glad, never regretted, not even once or one day in my life. the life here taught me more, gave me more education, taught me more than what I could have learned
In the US.
pursuing my MBA from Harvard University.
Yeah,
So you got to be street smart.
Yeah, life's lessons are different, so you're right about it.
Yeah.
In fact, wish I could have gone on and on, but I know you have a paucity of time, and we also have a limit to all that. But we crossed that limit long back, beyond 30 minutes now. But it was wonderful speaking to you, Mr. Raghavendra. I'm sure we can come back another day and speak to you more on the philosophy of education, because I often believe that, as you said, the first 20 years of life of a child is extremely important. How you mold the child is what the child becomes later. And some parents regret after that they didn't spend enough time with their children. So that is something that is there. But it was wonderful speaking to you. And I'm sure as an educationist in a new role from a technology guy, you have rediscovered something, as you said, the Indian jugaad, the Indian way of working, and of course, the way we surmount our problems here in India and we overcome them. We don't complain about it.
Yes.
Then we find our own way out. Thank you very much for speaking to us, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for taking time for interviewing me. It was a nice interaction with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Raghu Macha, who transformed his life from being a techie, as they call it, at a very senior position in IBM, relocating to India, something that most Indians don't do, and of course, then taking up 2 educational institutions to run within Hyderabad city. I'm sure he's not done yet. He'll be having a lot more in the days to come, and it was wonderful listening to his philosophy in life and the way he looks at education as a way to take the kids into the next generation. That, ladies and gentlemen, is extremely important. Thank you for watching. Jai Hind.